Welcome to today's episode. My name is Carter Wilson, and I'm excited to explore key topics from the progressive era with you. We'll look into the reform movements during the transformative period in American history, which spanned from approximately through the 1890s to the 1920s. This was a time marked by significant social, political, and economic changes across the United States, shaping the landscape of our nation in profound ways. So let's dive right in. So, what is the progressive era? The progressive era emerged as a response to the rapid industrialization and urbanization that characterized the late 19th century. As cities grew and industries expanded, so did the challenges facing American society. Issues such as political corruption, social injustice, economic inequality, and the exploitation of labor were at the forefront of public concern. During this period, a diverse group of reformers, including middle class citizens, labor leaders, and women's suffrage activists, sought to address these pressuring issues. They aimed to improve living conditions, expand democratic participation, and regulate powerful corporations. The movement emphasized the belief that government should play a more active role in solving social problems and promoting the welfare of citizens. Now, if I tried to cover every detail of the progressive era, we'd be here all day, and you might just fall asleep listening. So instead, we are just going to focus on one of the most impactful aspects of this era, which is the women's suffrage movement. This topic not only highlights the fight for gender equality, but also reflects the broader push for social justice and democratic reform that defined the progressive era. So here's the next big question. Why does the women's suffrage movement stand out as such a pivotal part of progressive era history? The reason being is because it represented a major shift in the fight for equality and civil rights. It wasn't just about gaining the right to vote, it was about challenging long-standing gender roles and demanding a voice in the democratic process. The movement also inspired broader activism and laid the foundation for future progress in women's rights. At the forefront of the women's suffrage movement were influential leaders like Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and later Elise Paul. And speaking of Elise Paul, she is going to be the person that we are going to talk about for the first segment of this podcast. Elise Paul was a prominent leader during the progressive era, best known for her bold activism in the women's suffrage movement. Born in 1885, Paul became a powerful force for change after studying in England, where she was inspired by the militant tactics of the British suffragettes. Upon returning to the U.S., she co-founded the National Women's Party in 1916, introducing a more confrontational approach to securing voting rights for women, one that differed from the more conservative strategies of early suffragists. One of her most impactful actions was organizing the 1913 Women's Suffrage Procession in Washington, D.C., held the day before President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration. The landmark event drew national attention to the suffrage cause, and she marked a turning point in public awareness. Through protests, demonstrations, and hunger strikes, Paul and the National Women's Party maintained pressure on lawmakers and the public. She also played a key role in drafting the Equal Rights Amendment, aiming to ensure legal equality regardless of sex. Her fearless commitment and strategic campaigning were crucial in achieving the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote. Even after that victory, Paul maintained a lifelong advocate for gender equality, becoming an enduring symbol of the progressive era and the feminist movement. So here is an article written by Paul in 1922 from the Washington Times newspaper. Now, this is more of what she said, but I will go back to the primary source document, but if you want to take a picture, screenshot of this, you definitely can. Paul expresses her visions for women's equality in the future and the transformative potential of women in society. She states that it will not take a century to see a woman elected as President of the United States, predicting that before 2023, we will see a woman in the White House. This statement emphasizes her belief in the upcoming arrival of true gender equality in leadership roles. Paul reflects on the historical struggles of women, emphasizing that once women free themselves from the challenges imposed upon them, they will possess the power to revolutionize the world. Her vision is evident as she envisions a society where women will no longer be seen as subject creatures, but rather as equal participants in all aspects of life. She expresses her hopes for the future, stating, "My hope for women 100 years from now is that they no longer will be subjected to men in law or custom." Paul's statement highlights her desire for a world where women are not regarded as inferior or as the governed half of society. Instead, she imagines a balanced partnership between men and women in governance, family, and industry, proclaiming, "The world will no longer be a man's world, but a woman's and man's world, with each sex participating equally." Paul also addresses the need for a unified moral standard, advocating for the idea that legislation by sex will then be considered as undemocratic. She envisions a future where women are afforded the same opportunities in all occupations, stating that there will be no sex in work, emphasizes the restrictions regarding labor conditions should apply equally to both genders. Overall, she predicts significant changes in marriage dynamics, asserting that women will be recognized as separate identities post marriage. She believes that a woman will no longer be legally dependent on her husband and that the mutual contributions of both partners to family maintenance will be acknowledged. Paul's article serves as a powerful manifesto for the progressive movement focused on women's rights, summarizing her passionate hope for a future where equality dominates and women fully participate in all spheres of life. Her forward-thinking visions challenges the societal norms of her time and inspires continued advocacy for gender equality. And although we did not have a women president in office, we did have women who ran useful campaigns, and our first vice president was a Black woman. The second primary source, written by Adela Hunt Logan in 1912, a faculty member of Tuskegee University, argues for the addition and empowerment of African American women in the voting process and highlights the importance of their participation in shaping the future of the nation. Written during a time when racial and gender discrimination were common, Logan emphasizes that the right to vote is not only a fundamental civil right, but also a crucial avenue for social and political change. Logan discusses the unique challenges faced by African American women, who were facing multiple barriers due to their race and gender. She argues that their voices and votes are essential in addressing issues that directly affect their communities, such as education, labor rights, and social justice. The article emphasizes the idea that African American women possess the capability and insight necessary to contribute meaningfully to the democratic process. Furthermore, Logan calls attention to the historical contributions of Black women to the suffrage movement and civil rights, arguing that their activism and experiences should be recognized and valued, which she states in her words, "A number of colored women are active members of the National Women's Suffrage Association. They are well informed and diligent in the spread of propaganda," which clearly states that Black women are well informed in what was going on during that area, but yet they still were not able to get their flowers until years later. According to NYPost.com, single women own 11.1 million homes, while single men own 8.42 million homes.